This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it's time for Avoid the Maze, your journey through life. And my guest today is Nikki, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Is it Alan?
It's Alan, yes.
Oh, I did get it right. Okay. I had some extra letters in there, and I
Oh,
wasn't sure if I had misspelled it. And I met Nikki through podmatch.com. And when I read your bio, Nikki, boy, I just shared so much of your thoughts in life. Um, Anybody who's been in any kind of relationship, sometimes we try to give our all to the relationship. And what happens is we lose ourselves. And we may not even realize that at the time. You
correct.
know, I know every guy I dated before I married my first husband, if they said they liked sunshine, I like
You
sunshine.
like sunshine.
Yeah. And I was taught that by my mother. My mother said, you know, you have to give a little. But instead of giving a little, I was giving a lot. And my first husband and I think we married each other because we just sort of thought it was expected. It was that time of our life. We met at the right place. We sort of had some of the same things in common. And because I wanted to please him, anything he said he liked, I liked, even if I hated it. So when we got divorced, I didn't know who I was.
Hmm.
I had only spent a little over 7 years with him, and I didn't know who I was.
Wow.
So when I read your bio, it's like, I guess I'm not the only person out there.
No,
So
no.
give us give us some background. Take us on a journey.
Yeah, well, that's a loaded ask. I'll say that. But um I'll start with the book and how I came to that. So the character, her name is Gabby, and she's in an abusive relationship. The story is quite different from what actually happened to me because I don't think readers could really understand what happened to me because it was just crazy. But I wanted to put some love into that story. My story, on the other hand, this guy, I had just moved to LA. My mom died 11 months after I got to LA. My mom was my backbone. My mom is the reason I moved to LA. My mom's the reason I've been in the entertainment industry. She believed in me so much. So when she passed, my dad, he's never been supportive. So it was just kind of like I was out here on my own. And I met this guy and I thought he was just perfect, right? And like you said, if he said jump, I would be like, how high? How long do you want me to stay up there? When do you want
Yep.
me to come back? Like it was just so, I was so into him. Um, and like you said, you don't realize this is what you're doing, but I'm 20 something. Y'all 20s, boy, I wouldn't do it again if you paid me. My daughter's 25 and she's like, Mom, I'm like, yeah, it's a 20 thing. Don't just go, keep going. But you think you know everything and you think, oh my God, I finally found this guy and I'm gonna, get married and have kids and get the house and da 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 da. And yeah, he just wasn't a nice guy, but really because of immaturity for us.
Right.
Now, let me back after so after all the BS, it took 7 years to get out of that relationship. And I did what I like to call soul surgery and figure out why the hell did I end up in this? Because my parents were married up until my mom passed. I had never seen any domestic violence in my family. I have never even seen my parents argue, let alone get loud. But what they did not demonstrate either was love. They
Oh,
they showed coexistence, right? So I'm throwing the love in my relationship. I don't have a good roadmap here to say, okay, getting hit upside the head is not okay, because I don't know if it is or not. It didn't happen in my house. We didn't argue, we didn't fight. This is a whole new lifestyle. What do you do? And unfortunately, when I called my dad to tell him this guy hit me, my dad literally said, well, that's what y'all do. What? Yeah,
Wow.
my dad was a piece of work though. He was a piece of work. But yeah, so there was no support there. And it really, and so after that relationship, I really had to figure out why. Why was I allowing this to happen? And yes, mom not being there and needing someone to hold on to, that was true. But then it got deeper because I had to go all the way back to childhood and how
Mhm.
I was treated and what I was missing and what I was searching for. So that's the journey.
Yeah.
That's
And
like
that
part
journey,
one.
yeah. So that journey took you to write this book.
Yes.
So, most of us, as we grow up, and especially if we think we're growing up in a very loving, nurturing home, we want to be that same way. You say, okay, well, I see this. I knew my parents loved each other desperately, but they were arguers. In fact, we used to call them the Bickersons because they would bicker with each other, and the next thing you know, they were hugging and kissing, and everything was fine. So I saw hugging and kissing. I saw loud voices, but I didn't think of loud voices as being really arguing or fighting. Um, and so that's what I thought that I would have in my relationships. And in my first marriage, I reacted loudly.
Mhm.
My husband didn't come from a family like that. So he just like backed off. Okay. But under his breath, he would say the nasty things.
Mm,
And I would hear that,
mm,
you're stupid, you're ugly, you're worthless. And I didn't know what to do with that because I didn't hear that with my parents. Yeah, they bickered about something, but it usually was, who got the bigger piece of cake or something like that. It wasn't deep down things
mhm,
like, you're ugly, you're fat, you're stupid. And so I too realized that part of our problem was that we were immature. We weren't
mhm,
ready to get married. Um, he was playing the game that this is what my parents have, this is what I'm going to be. I did the same thing,
mhm,
and we just crashed.
mhm,
So when you wrote your book, you said, well, it's really not my story, but it's your feelings,
mhm.
obviously.
Yeah.
So how how did you feel while you were writing it? Because it had to have been gut wrenching.
Well, honestly, it was a song first. It was on my first album called Loved You, Hated You is the name of the song. And I
Okay.
wrote that shortly after I got out of that relationship and then I put it on my first album. And the lyrics are loved you, I hated you, and now I'm releasing you. So there was a third part to that. Um, then I just felt like I said, I wanted to tell that story, but I wanted to leave some hope with it. And I also wanted to explain the why because people don't understand. Why do you just stay? You should just go. He's so mean. I mean, yeah, we do know this. And I don't think there's too many people in an abusive relationship that's going, no, it's okay. It's good. We're good.
Yeah.
I don't, we all know that this is not good. It's just not good. But the how to get out is really difficult. And so I wanted to kind of explain that through the story and through my feelings about how I felt because people are also surprised that am still in touch with this guy some 30 plus years later. But like you said, it was immaturity. We can talk about it now, but um, yeah, so it went from that, and then I wanted to make a screenplay because I'm actually a filmmaker. So I was like, I'm going to turn this song into a movie. So I wrote the screenplay. We had a production development deal. Then COVID hit. And then I got a call from the publishers like, hey, you got a book? And I'm like, yeah, but I didn't have a book. So, you know what? Somebody told me many, many, many years ago after I wrote the screenplay and they read it, they were sitting at my kitchen table and they go, you should make this a book. So that popped in my head and I'm like, yeah, I got a book. And I sat there and I just turned the screenplay into a book. It wasn't really gut-wrenching because I am so far removed from it and I've healed from it. Um, so and that's the kind of writer I am. I'm not one of those people that when I'm in the crux of things, it's like I gotta write this out. I'm the total opposite. I gotta go through it. You won't see me for a while, but when I emerge, I'll tell the story. So that's kind of how my writing style is.
It's interesting because you you mentioned that you are still in touch with your ex-husband. And I think if many of us step away after that divorce, after that breakup, and we really realize that number one, it took two people to make it bad. Even in an abusive relationship where you're getting hit or you're being verbalized, you're even though you know you don't deserve it, you still sit there and take it. And because you take it, you're going to get more thrown at you. And I realized that in my relationship, that as long as I sat there and heard those nasty comments and sat there and cried and figured out, oh my God, I'm so stupid, I'm so ugly. And I fed into it. It was, he became more powerful in
Yeah,
saying it.
yeah.
But it took me a long, long time to forgive him.
Mm, hmm.
And I realized I had to, number one, it was probably 30 plus years when I finally said to myself, I'm in a good relationship.
Hmm.
I I know I'm not stupid. I know I'm not ugly. Maybe in your eyes I am, but when I look in the mirror, that's not what I see. And so I'm going to forgive you for what you said because I feel better now. And as
Hmm.
soon as I did, and I could express it, I even expressed it to him. I wrote him a letter and I said, thank God we both got divorced because you found the love of your life. I
Hmm.
found the love of my life. And our son didn't, he suffered in the divorce, but as he got older, he understood it. And he too has forgiven us for the part we played. He realizes we were immature,
Hmm.
but not everybody does that.
Yeah.
We hold on to that baggage that makes us ill.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And every disease is a dis-ease. That's, but it's so true. And I wasn't married to this guy, but I was married and we're divorced and unfortunately he passed away. And he was a horrible husband. He was a horrible father. He wasn't abusive at all. But I say all that to say with both relationships, and because that one was the one I had to forgive because he created a lot of damage in my life. But you have to ask yourself, why am I allowing this to happen? Because people will only treat you the way you allow them to treat you.
Exactly.
And so in that, I had to forgive him because I allowed this to happen. Like I saw all the stuff before we got married and I shouldn't have done it. I saw it. So that's on me. You came in with the BS. That's on you, but it's on me because I allowed it. So and it's every day I'm having to forgive him because stuff he's done, still pops up every now and then.
Sure.
And but I have to forgive him. And then my aunt told me many years ago about my dad. She goes, if he knew better, he'd do better. And so with this guy, that really was, he had such a crazy background that it made sense as to why he was acting the way he was acting. So in that, it softened my heart to understand him a little bit better. It's still hard to forgive him sometimes because of the backlash, that I'm still experiencing. He's dead and gone, and I'm still dealing with stuff. So, but when those moments come up, it's like I have to go into forgiveness mode. I have to forgive him and I have to forgive myself. What was I going through? Because I saw those signs coming, but what was I going through? And I'm gonna blame my grandma because I'm gonna blame my grandma. She gave the worst advice. She's gone too, and I look up and like that was the worst advice. But her thing was, don't marry for love, marry for security.
Oh my gosh,
And she
yes.
goes, and then the love will come. Girl, the love never came. And he didn't even have any security. He was all lies. But I was like, marry for love, people, marry for love.
Well, and the interesting part is that we don't dig deep when we're meeting people and developing relationships. I've had this conversation with my youngest son. He'll tell me somebody that he's friends with, and I'll just ask a simple question like, "Oh, are they dating anybody?" Or go, "Well, no, I don't ask those questions if they tell me." And it's
Mhm.
like, and I get that, but my comment to him is, when you meet somebody who you want to trust, whether it be a male, a female, whatever, at some point you have to start asking simple questions, and those simple questions are going to run deeper because you don't really know anything about this person other than what they look like and their name and what they've told you so far. And
Correct.
most of us, we don't reveal a lot of that.
Right.
And I know when I met my current husband, we've been married 41 plus years, so I think we know each other pretty
Yeah, you
well.
got that down pat.
Uh, but we met at a friend's wedding, and there was another female sitting across from him who was hitting on him the whole time. And so this was not even a date. We had just met, but I pulled him aside and I said, "What's going on between you two? Do you want to be with her?" And he looked at me and said, "Oh, no, 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 no." And he gave me this full blown story. And it was like, okay, I get it. You dated her a long time ago. She doesn't have a date. She wants you to be her date. Um, and from that point on, I started asking the hard questions because I did not want to fall back into the pattern I had been in. Um, and I'm not always good at it. I will admit, sometimes I
Hmm.
don't ask the questions I should,
Hmm.
but I think we all have to
Yeah.
because it's about taking care of ourselves. And we don't think about that when we get in a relationship. We think,
Yeah.
you're going to take care of me.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
your grandmother's advice, for
Right.
security. Well, is that a good reason to get married?
No.
Um, No, I mean, if it truly was, I probably would have stayed with my ex
Mm.
and allowed him to be abusive for
Right.
God knows how many years.
Hmm.
So, what are some of the things that you do or you share with others that you do when you're getting that backlash thought from that abusive relationship?
Oh, well, let me start with this. Yeah, I'm in a wonderful relationship now. Um, I can't even, I'm just gonna gush, right? But
Okay,
we've been together going on 7 years and getting stronger. But it was interesting because about 2 weeks ago, he wanted me to get something for him. He was coaching a little league game, and he called and said, "Hey, can you order this?" I ordered it and sent the picture to him. He calls me right back and goes, "Did you get it in white or black?" But his tone it started reminding me of that abusive relationship.
sure.
And then I go, "No, I can take it back. It's this, that, and the other." He says, "Okay, you get on that and do that right now." And I know he was in the crux of all the kids yelling, coaches, parents, and all that. But it hit me like that relationship. I thought I was done with those feelings. I didn't even know they were still in there. And when he did, I remember on the phone just like, like wanting to do that, and I didn't say anything. And then he caught himself and he goes, "Please," right? But when he came over, because I guess I had an attitude after that, he gets here and he's like, "You got an attitude." And I said, "Let me explain to you why." And I said, "You took me all the way back to that moment." And so I realized I still need some healing there because this guy is totally different. He would never come at me the way that guy did. But
Right.
there's still some stuff that needs to be healed. So prepare, because that relationship I'm talking about was 30 years ago. And here we are, beautiful relationship, and he made something swell up from that old relationship. But the thing is like I said, I call it soul surgery. I am one, I will sit and deep dive on myself
Yeah.
and go, why? Because I'm a why girl. My daughter hates that. She's like, yeah, and she just want to know why about everything. I do. But even myself, why am I allowing that to happen? And once you start asking yourself those hard questions, you'll get into the deeper stuff. If you're honest, it's just you, so be honest with yourself. Why am I like that? Oh, so and so did XYZ to me when I was 2 or 3. You'll be amazed at what comes up that you know changes your trajectory in life. You're going one way and then something happens and then you're going a different way. So but the when those thoughts come, I also say, I hear you, I see you, I acknowledge you, but we're not doing this today.
Yeah.
And this is my kids now when they see me doing this, it really works. It's me taking whatever that was and tossing it, and I'm done with it. I'm not dealing with it anymore. But you have to find whatever works for you. But I no longer allow those intrusive thoughts to run, because that's what happens. You let them in and then they just run your day or your life. You know, Acknowledge them. Hey, I see you, but we're not doing this
Right.
today.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and sometimes it'll keep coming back. So that's when you know, okay, I got to deal with this because it's not leaving. There's something here. What's going on with you, Nikki? And just sit in that until I figure it out. But that is me. I will sit here and do all kind of surgery on myself till I figure out what in the world, because my freedom, my peace, and my happiness are the most important things to me.
I read a small article this morning, and it was called "Are You a Sponge or a Bubble?" And I realized that most of my life I've been a sponge. I hear something that you're going through, and I I add it to my life. It's
Yep.
like, oh my God. And um, I used to say, well, I was a pleaser. And now I realize I was not a pleaser. I was a sponge. I allowed all that stuff to come into me.
Mhm.
And yet, most recently, I've become more of a bubble. I've
Mhm.
pulled myself away. And it's like, no, you can't come in. You can't come in because I'm not going to let you add your baggage to me.
Now, let me ask you this really quickly. Do
Sure.
you think this is maturity and age? Because I don't know if I would have gotten this even 5, 10 years ago. I literally am just now sitting on that cusp of I'm I'm out of it. I am so the bubble, and I have such good boundaries. Like, because I'm like you. You see something or I hear something, I want to jump in. I want to help. But to the 20s, to the 30s year olds, how do you tell them step back? Because you're still in that go, 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 I can fix it, I can heal the world mentality at that point. I think
Well,
you get to where we are when you get beat up a little bit by life.
I think maturity is part of it because maturity has said to me, I don't want to carry this with me. I
Mhm.
can't resolve everybody's problems. So, most recently, I lost my middle brother, and my older brother is having health issues and social issues, and he lives out in California.
Hmm.
I'm here in Ohio, and every day I had been calling him and making sure he's okay. But the other day, he threw at me, um, I just don't have any more energy, and I think I'm just gonna just sit in my chair and wait it out.
Oh, wow.
And my first reaction was, I guess I should jump on a plane and fly out there. And it was like, no. He's 83 years old. He's been through a lot in his life. It's not for me to tell him anymore. I've been encouraging him to live and get out there and do things. And when I saw him at our brother's celebration of life, he seemed to have had this new lease on life. You know, we're going to work together, Karen. Okay, we're going to continue our brother's work. And it was like, okay, this is wonderful. Until it became too difficult for him physically and emotionally. And so when he gave me that call, I first absorbed it. And I was sitting next to my husband, and I said something to him about, I don't know what to do. I feel sad. And he goes, go look in the mirror. You've done everything you can do. He said, I'll fly you out there if you want to go out there. But tell me, what is it going to do for you? Now, my first reaction was, well, maybe I can save him. And he goes, you can't live his life. And that's when it dawned on me, you know what? I got to retreat back into that bubble. I can think about it occasionally, but I can't let it consume me. And so when I read this article this morning, it was like, wow, now I'm visualizing the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So when you ask, what about the 20 and 30-year-olds? I think they've got to experience it. And that's sad. I know my generation of parenting, we protected our kids. You know, we were the first ones who said, oh, they all need a participation trophy, until we realized that was the stupidest thing we ever said. But we wanted things to be fair. We wanted things to be even. And we didn't want to see our kids cry. And then I realized I cried a lot as a kid. And my parents didn't fix it for me. In fact, many times my parents said to me, so what did you do wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Which made me have to ask the why, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And didn't realize they were doing that. Even when I was getting divorced from my first husband, who my parents did not like, the first thing out of my mother's voice was, so what did you do to cause the divorce?
Oh, wow.
And years later, when I said that to her, she said, I wasn't accusing you, but I was asking the question. She said, and part of it was you didn't want to be controlled. That's what you did. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
so we got to be careful how we ask those questions,
Mm-hmm.
how we receive them.
Mm-hmm.
So like
That
when,
was good.
when your guy calls you from the baseball field because he knows of something he needs and he knows, hey, Nikki will do this for me, but he doesn't explain it 100%. And then it's like, did you do it right? The first thing is, oh, I'm a bad person. What did
Mm-hmm.
I do wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Or don't blame me for your mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was really, it's so funny you said that because I'm like, you sent me, I didn't say it, but I'm like, you sent me the link. I just clicked it and paid, and this is what
Yeah.
it was. What do you mean? We want it white. You should have said, all that stuff's going on in my it's like this is on you. But I'm just so glad, first of all, that he's a very mature person. Because when I mentioned it to him, um, he just grabbed me and hugged me and was like, baby, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it to come out like that. Right. So definitely my guy. But but it could have been, oh my God, you take things the wrong way. I don't it could have gone that way. But thank God, and I always call these little tests, you know, because that showed what kind of person he is and how he respects my feelings. And we talked about this too. He respects me and he understands what I've been through. So he would never try to emulate that situation again. He's very careful. So, yeah, boy, life, I tell you.
So one of the things that you've experienced, that I've experienced, that young love sometimes is not secure when you first get together. Um, Young love is all about rainbows, lollipops, and everything being perfect, and um, you know, the white gown, and because that's important, and having a certain type of wedding, and what comes after the wedding. And I know when my current husband and I got married, because he had never been married before, his parents really wanted us to have a wedding, and so we did. Okay, but we didn't plan it in the fact that every flower had to be perfect, everything had to match. You know, we put it together, and we knew that we were still learning from each other. We had been together for 2 years, and um, there were still things we didn't know. And there was still, as you said, that old baggage that I was carrying around, that sometimes he'd say to me, why are you coming home from work late tonight? I would hear, oh my God, like, what's wrong with me? Um, and so I would get defensive and be like,
Mhm.
well, they asked me to work and I can make extra money and I could do this. And I could tell he was on the other side of the phone going, like, okay, I just asked a question. But I heard a tone that triggered me.
Yes.
So when you're helping other people, now you're a musician, you're an author, you write screenplays, you're very much in the entertainment world. And I'm sure you see a lot of these relationships in the entertainment world. Do people come to you for advice and ask you, like, how are you doing it?
I get that a lot, and especially because I'm in such a good relationship, but it took all those bad ones for me to go, I think I want a good one now. This is what I want. But really at the end of the day, I always say it's like this, and this is what I'm telling my daughter. She's 25, Mom, I can't find anybody. These guys said, you know what? You just keep working on you. You be the person that you're in love with, and I believe that person will find you. They'll just show up. Because I think that's what happened to me. I was just in such a good place. I was ready, and he walked past me. I didn't see him. I felt him. And it was a whole bunch of people. And I turned around like, what was that? Right. And then later he was actually my son's basketball coach. So later, but not at that moment, but later I came out and was going to the restroom in like the gym or whatever. And he was standing there. Now, mind you, when he went past, I didn't see him, but when I saw him, I felt him, and I was like, "That's that guy," and pretty much we've been together ever since.
I love that. What a beautiful story that is. That
Thank
is.
you. Yeah,
But
but I just knew, and let me say this, we've never had a fight, we've never had an argument. That's not to say we don't that we agree on everything, but we just flow. We flow through the good and the bad. But that took, a lot on me. Like I had to get to that point, like this is what I want. And then I had to heal myself to be that person to attract that kind of person.
and
And
it takes work.
it
It
takes
it
work.
doesn't just happen. It takes.
No. It takes work. And then you still have to, and it sounds bad, but I don't mean it in a negative way, but then you have to train them. This is what I like.
Well,
And they
you
train
know,
you too. This is what they like too, and then hopefully it flows, but we just flow. We just really flow.
and the the information that you're sharing with your daughter is so important because I grew up in the 60s and we weren't told to create yourself, make yourself feel good, um, do what's important. Don't worry about trying to find your mate. Um, but I know myself and most of my girlfriends, we all went to college to get our MRS. we didn't care if we got our bachelor's. It didn't make any difference. We needed to get married by the time we graduated. And I think that was part of the problem in my first marriage because we both met at a time that um, our parents were not happy with the people that we were dating. I happened to be Jewish, and my mother kept saying to me, I want you to marry a Jewish boy. And so I would lie to her when she'd call me on a Saturday night and say, "Are you going out tonight?" And I'd say, "Oh, yes." And I came up with a name that she would think was Jewish. And she'd go, "Oh, where's he from?" It's like, oh my God, let's not go there. And when I met my husband and we started dating, we were both in that situation. And so we gravitated toward each other because, well, I'll make my mother happy. He'll make his mother happy. Oh, wow, isn't that great? Funny thing is, the families didn't like each other.
Oh my.
His parents never approved of me. My parents never approved of him. That should have been a sign, but it wasn't because we both went in with tunnel vision. We're going to make this work. And again, we were 21 years old when we got married. So, to all our listeners out there, if you're 21 years old, you probably are not ready to get married.
Right.
Keep dating, keep dating. Um, Tell us a little bit about the book. How can we find it? And, because I think we all want to read it. We all want to see it when it becomes a movie.
Yes. So it's Loved You, Hated You. It's available on Amazon. And it's also available at nikkiallen.com. So you can just go right to my website and grab a copy.
Okay. And do you think that we might see it? Is it like a Netflix one of these days?
I'm hoping on the big screen.
Ooh,
That's
love
what
that.
I'm really hoping. So yeah, let's see what happens.
And you're still pursuing your music?
I have a new single coming out in January I'm really excited about. And it's called This Cathedral Is Mine, meaning myself. So kind of
I,
piggybacking off of everything.
so if we go to your website, we can find everything there.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love it. Well, Nikki, it's been wonderful having this conversation with you.
Thank
I'm
you so
hoping
much for
those,
having me.
oh, absolutely. And I'm hoping those that who are listening, are gaining something from this. That, what, life might feel terrible right now, but if you pursue what makes you feel good, you'll move forward. And I
Yes.
think that's the most important message that we can get. Um,
Yes.
you know, I'm going to admit it. I'm 75 years old and I'm happier today than I was when I was 25. So go
Yes.
for it.
Yes. Yes. I'm 56 and I'm happier than I've ever been and trying to get back in the best shape I've ever been. But that's a work in progress.
I love it. Thanks again. We will talk soon. Bye bye now.
Yes. Bye.